Have you ever asked, does God exist? Have you ever had an answer? 3 different perspectives to this question consider intuitive and intellectual approaches. The differing views make it that much more interesting, even more so as we consider the afterlife, heaven, and hell.
It's not a simple question though, especially Buddhism, we don't really follow the such as the supreme being, The Buddhism is more close to atheist because all other religions, their target, they believe the being, the God, the Jehovah or Allah, is something named and the being. But Buddhism is different. The Buddhism, our target is enlightenment or vimoksha, which is a total freedom. That's our target. So we not being what we practice on. But all other religions, except Buddhism, they follow such a being or their target is such a being. Supreme being, you can say that. So, I do respect other religions because they believe that they own God. Because not only one person or 2 persons, it's millions of people believe that. There must have a reason for people to believe. People must be hear something word. People must have some kind of experience that God exists. So I do respect. But at the same time, what I believe, my conviction, which is our target, which is the vimoksha, is complete liberation from the suffering and anxiety life or stress, which is this is what sometimes we call enlightenment. Enlightenment means to find out what the path to get full liberation. See? It's not something, it's very mystical or very esoteric object. It's just a lot of people misunderstanding about Buddhism though. So very simple, vimoksha. The Buddhist people, they practice, they cultivate the year after year, chanting, meditation, or whatever by the book, to attain freedom. Free from many obstacles, free from many stress. So we believe that way, without that obstacle, we can really draw out a real clear wisdom and knowledge and love and compassion. Because all other thing is obstacle. You know what I'm saying? This is a wall. That is a fence. Basically, all the human beings, we have love and compassion and the loving all the way, full with the our heart. But it's the obstacle, the blocking. See? So just get rid of all the obstacle. See? So making people happy, joy, and making a wonderful harmony with the neighbor and community or other religious people. It's basically the Buddhist people very much respect other religion. Therefore, as I said, thousands years, the Buddhists never really fight with other religion because we respect other religion. And also, I respect that people believe the God, in God, or Allah, or Muhammad, or Jehovah, or Kalima, or Vishnu. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But also, I want them to understand our, target, our beliefs at the same time. So that's my perspective on that.
Do I believe there's a God? Yeah, I do. I really do. But in a sense, that I don't think that's very impressive. I don't see why anyone would be interested in that. I don't know if I would live well, live compassionately. I don't know if I could live well, could live compassionately, given all the suffering that I see in the world today, if God hadn't grabbed a hold of me. And he's grabbed a hold of me, and he will not let go. So what I believe, I think, is really not very important. I listen. If you want me to talk about reasons against atheism or reasons against theism, yeah, but that would just be an academic exercise. My deepest motivations in responding to suffering human beings, my deepest commitment to my community, my city, the world, my deepest commitments to my Buddhist friends, all of that is empowered by the fact that even as I try to believe in God, God has touched me and changed my life and called me to be of service, to be of service to anyone who is suffering. You see what I mean? Would you see what I mean? I don't pretend for a moment that what we believe is unimportant. It is important, okay? But my belief is trying to keep up, it's trying to catch up with what God is doing in my life. And then let me say once again, when I talk this way, when I tell such stories to my Buddhist friends, they say, "That's really cool. It makes no sense to me at all." And I like that too. That's why they're my friends, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I would say there definitely is a God, and not only is there a God, but you can actually rationally arrive at the conclusion that there's a God. And one of the ways to do it is by analyzing the world and seeing the world around us and seeing that there is a design in everything. And when you look at all of these designs, you can tell that the design indicates a designer. And by reflecting more upon everything around us, what we call creation, we can actually arrive at belief in God, and we can defend it rationally. Just like looking at the human body, for example, we have some scientists say 32 trillion cells in our body, others say 100 trillion cells. Each cell is composed of several different components. So if you look at the complexity within the cells and how they form together, you really have two main options. One is that, you know, all of these parts kind of came together randomly by chance and just kind of formed themselves. And the second one is that they were actually put together and designed by some intelligent being. And the idea, when you reflect upon the complexity of the cell and the human body, to believe that it was just a pure coincidence or it was a chance is something that most human beings are not, they're not designed or they're not programmed to believe in, and they would find a hard time swallowing. So I think that's just an example of design that we see, especially when we understand the world and life in its, after analyzing it through the modern tools that we have, we can even see the complexity a lot more than people used to be able to see in the past.
Buddhists have a very strong the message about ethics and morality, which is the cause and fact. Okay, we call the pratyasamittipata, and everything arises due to the condition. Cause and fact is a very strong belief. So this is very ethical. Whoever did something is very wrong or any of the evil things, you gotta get to a word or a reword has the same effect. Something you do bad, something is a bad, the reward. Something you good, something is a good reward. This is what we call the karma effect. Well, this is a very ethical things the Buddhists are trying to teach the people. Well, is heaven and hell? Buddhists have a very unique explanation on those very different extreme stages. The Buddhists believe that, and even the Gautama Siddhartha, who is the founder of Buddhism, is often insist about it in your mind. The heaven and hell in your mind. You really enjoy your life, full of love and compassion, wonderful harmony with others, pure human, not to make any evil act. Then we said, you living in heaven. Don't look for other heaven, before or after your life. At the present, whoever enjoy your life, now you're living in heaven. But the vice versa, if someone have a full of evil mind, the jealousy and the hatred and anger, and not harmony with other community or your family, then you're living in hell. See? So Buddhists not really believe the heaven and hell is really coexist after your life or before your life. But we always do believe the heaven and hell is the present. How you handle your life, you create your own heaven, you create your own hell. So this is two different things. Buddhism teach the people the very ethical of life, which is the karma of fact, cause and fact, the very strong message. And heaven and hell, as actually we interpret it slightly different than all other religions.
Is there a heaven and is there a hell? Yes, there's a heaven, and yes, I think there's a hell too, although it's easier to believe in heaven than it is to believe in hell. Yes, there is, but we naturally we tend to think of heaven as this place you go to after you die. And hell, in the same way, is a place that some people go to after they die. When I talk to little children, I talk in such terms because how else is a child going to understand a place that is not a place, a time that is not a time? Heaven is not a place you go to after you die and then just sit up there with the angels and I don't know, you'd be bored for all eternity. You know, I mean, this is okay. So this semester I'm teaching my students, we're reading Dante's Inferno. Dante has this fabulous insight. You know, literally at the literal level in the poem, hell is this pit that goes down into the center of the earth, okay? But Dante doesn't believe that literally. But he's got to tell a story about a journey, so it's got to be, well, it's got to be a place if it's going to be a journey. You got to imagine it as hell as a place that's occupying space and time. And Dante knows that this is not the case, okay? But he's telling a fabulous story, right? And in Inferno, in his account of hell, Dante has this marvelous principle. He calls it contrapasso. And it means this. It means that the punishment that you receive in hell, and there's all kinds of punishments, the punishment that a sinner receives in hell tells out the nature of the sin. And for Dante, every sin in each in its own way destroys our humanity. Destroys our humanity. So, for example, those who fail to stand up and take a stance for good or for evil, who fail to do that, who fail to take a position, who fail to stand up for the innocent, for example, they are forever in hell, being blown by a whirlwind, chasing flags that they never can reach, and they are being stung by wasps. You see how the punishment tells out the nature of sin. On earth, they never took a stance. They never stood up for the innocent. They never stood up for what's right. And in hell, for all eternity, they will be blown and blown around, never being able to grab a hold of a flag. You know, this is my flag. This is what I stand for. And instead, they're stung eternally by wasps. Now, there are no flags in hell, and there are no wasps in hell. But is Dante's poem true? And the answer is yes, it's true, even though it's not going to happen that way. Is there a heaven? I believe that when I reach out to someone to show a little kindness, a little consideration, a little mercy, I do not believe that I do that in vain. And somehow, in the end, in a way that I do not understand, so don't ask me to explain, all of my loving, fragile, and sometimes I have good days and sometimes I have bad days. All the good that I try to do in this world is going to be bundled up, and at the end of my life, God is going to bless me with the fullness of my humanity. This is what I believe. And that love is going to have the last word. Not career, not spite, not meanness, not boredom, not shallowness. No, not shallowness either. In the end, love is going to have the last say. And that's about as close as I can come to describing what heaven is going to be like. And now for the hard part. Is there a hell? Well, one, I'm going to leave that to God. But two, my Christian faith, it keeps my eyes open. There are people who deep, deep down inside reject the love, the care, the compassion, the humanity that God created them to be. They, deep down inside, reject that. And in ways that they may not be fully aware of, they are living lives that, in effect, they're shaking their fist at God, saying, I hate you for making me this fragile, finite creature that is so deeply capable of being in love. I hate you for making me a creature capable of love. And I reject it. I choose something else for myself. I choose power, not love. I choose prestige, not compassion. I choose ego. I'm going to make a god of my own ego. Partially because worshiping the living God, the living God, is so demanding. Now, if you asked Dante, he would tell you that the lovelessness that these people have chosen has placed them in hell already. In the end, is there a hell? I'll leave that up to God. Is there a heaven? Ultimately, I guess I have to leave that up to God as well. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to get up in the morning and ask myself, do I really want to be loving and compassionate? Do I want to stand up for justice? Do I want to build solidarity with those who are excluded? Whether or not there's a heaven, I'm going to do this. I'll let God take care of the details.
I believe in heaven and hell. I believe that it's real. At the same time, we believe that God is just. So he mentions in the Quran that there is heaven, there is hell, and I don't think there's much of a basis or a strong reason to believe that they're just figurative. So they're probably real in some sense of reality, a different world. When people die, they're going to be resurrected into a different world. At the same time, God is just. So whenever he's holding someone accountable, he knows their circumstances that they've gone through. He knows what they've been exposed to. He knows the opportunities in life that they've had. So when we kind of put all of that together, we leave judgment to God. We know some of the things that the average human being should believe in. And if they believe in it, we're told, if they believe in it and act upon it, we're told that they get paradise. And if they don't and they reject it, then they're going to be punished in hellfire. In terms of the details, who had what opportunity and who's going to be sent where, we leave all of that to God, knowing that he is the absolute just and he will deal with people justly. Islamic belief, actually, there is a verse in the Quran which says we do not punish anyone until we've sent them a messenger. And Muslim scholars historically have actually analyzed this verse, and they said that if someone had not received the message of Islam or the message of truth about God and about his teachings, then they cannot be held responsible because they never got a fair opportunity to be able to either receive that message or to access that message.